Good evening and welcome to our regularly scheduled monthly meeting of the Board of Zoning Appeals. The BZA members are all volunteers and receive no compensation. We are appointed by the City Commission for staggered 3-year terms. Under state statutes, the BZA hears 3 types of appeals. Dimensional or non-use variances, including sign variances, use variances, and appeals or interpretation rulings of the building official or other boards regarding any provision of the zoning ordinance. Tonight, we have 3 dimensional appeals. In a dimensional or non-use variance, the appellant must show practical difficulty complying with the dimensional requirements of the ordinance. It requires 4 affirmative votes. We have a full board tonight. And as I said, all 3 tonight are dimensional. Our procedure is all comments are to be addressed to myself, the chair. Please wait before being recognized. The city staff will first make a presentation regarding the appeal and take questions from the board. The appellant is then invited to speak and present on their case. Only one person is allowed to speak and address the board. We can provide exceptions under my discretion if there's an engineer or an architect that we have questions for. Members of the public are then invited to come forward, identify themselves, and provide their comments. The hearing is then closed, and motions on the board by the board are entertained and acted upon. In all cases, this is not a popularity contest. Granting or denying a variance is based substantially on the appellant meeting their burden of proof. Can we please call the roll of the board members?
Eric Morgenroth.
Here.
Jason Canvasser.
Here.
Kevin Hart.
Here.
Richard Lilly.
Here.
Tom Miller.
Here.
Ron Reagan.
Here.
Carl Corona.
Here.
Donald Rogers.
Here.
We have a couple of correspondence from the fire department as well as from a neighbor on Shirley. Have the appellants received copies?
Yes. You got one letter from the one on Shirley was in the package. The one they got in front of you came after the package came out.
Very good. I'm going to call the attendance of the appellants. Do we have someone here for Latham?
Yes.
Very good. Do we have someone here for Washington?
Yes.
And do we have someone here for Shirley? Yes. Very good. Gentlemen, before you, you have the minutes of the last regularly scheduled meeting. Are there any corrections, or do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
Mr. Chair,
Please.
corrections. In paragraph 2 and paragraph 3, it references the chair. All the references to chair should be referenced to the vice chair. With that, I'd
Move to approve as amended unless anybody else has any changes.
We have a motion to approve as amended. Do we have any second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The minutes are approved as amended. Our appeals. Our first appeal is for case number 25-19 on Latham, and the city will present.
Andrew Erickson here to present appeal number 2519. The owner of the property known as 1133 Latham requests the following variance to install a generator on a non-conforming lot. Chapter 126, Article A, Section 4.03N1 of the zoning ordinance requires that the placement of the generator shall be limited to the rear open space only at a location that is at least 5 feet from the principal building or accessory building with habitable space. The required is 5 feet, the proposed is 3 feet, therefore a variance of 2 feet is requested in the rear yard. That's it.
Thank you. Are we aware of whether or not this 5-foot minimum has something to do with function, fire, or accessibility to service the generator?
No, it has to do with carbon monoxide, basically. It's health safety.
And so, do you know if the manufacturer has a minimum distance, and do you feel that 3 feet does not protect our liability as a city if we allowed for a variance at 3 feet?
I think the 3 feet, we've had issues where they met the 5 feet requirement, the 5 foot requirement from doors and windows, and we still have carbon monoxide issues. So the further away from the building, the better.
And when the appellant applied for this variance, were they advised that the distance is about safety?
Yes.
And they said they wanted to proceed with a variance regardless? And are you aware of any other spot on the property that is viable for this generator that the generator could be moved, notwithstanding cost. I mean, like I know on my house, I wanted a generator, I would have had to go under the driveway to be able to wire it, and so it was cost prohibitive. So notwithstanding cost, are there other areas for which this could go?
2, I think would work. That would meet the 5-foot clearance.
Okay, so there are possibilities.
Yep.
Very good. Other questions? Please.
The ordinance says habitable. What's the definition as far as the city's concerned? I mean, this is technically backing up to a garage, but it's a garage that's also connected to the house, best I can tell from the print. So that by definition is still habitable?
It is.
All right. Thank you.
Please.
You just mentioned that the current code is 5 feet and that there has been generators at 5 feet that still had an issue.
5 feet from any opening, that's the manufacturer's recommendation. What the city is, now it's 5 feet into the rear open space, so 5 feet behind the house. You can't put them on the side yards anymore. They need to go in the rear open space, which is behind the house. So an open area.
Okay, so it wasn't the old 1.5 feet that you had the problems with. It was still at 5 feet you were still having
At
problems.
5 feet, they're still having issues.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Campbell?
Just procedurally, I know, or I believe the fire department's on here. We have a letter from the marshal. Is that considered public comment, or is that part of the city's presentation?
I'm going to say it's more public comment, because that letter came in after this appeal was applied for,
Okay.
and that was a letter that came from the fire department expressing the zoning change with the concern of the carbon monoxide.
Okay. I mean, in my view, the fire department's the expert on this thing, so I certainly would like to hear what the fire department's view is of this in regards to safety.
I mean, isn't what I'm reading, and tell me if I'm incorrect, the fire department is acknowledging that they've had issues with homes involving dangerous levels of carbon monoxide, that they don't like the idea of this location, and they suggest that we uphold the language adopted by the city. That's my summary of what I'm reading.
Yeah, I view it as they're asking us to deny the variance request, but I'd like to still hear from the fire department.
Very good. So I think we have the fire department available. Can we unmute?
Bring him in?
Well, I think Mr. Zolke said to do it during the
Oh,
public.
you want to do a public? Okay.
That was my question, is when we
Yeah,
should. we
I
should
mean,
hear
I
from
think
them.
he can comment when.
Okay,
public.
very good.
I know that, kind of add to this, about a year and a half ago, there's been more carbon monoxide, even, yes, it meets requirements of the way the wind blows, what's the surrounding with the landscaping, that's been kind of more prevalent, and that's where the ordinance got changed and put into the 5 foot being in the rear yard.
Very good. Well, we have no more questions for the city, so who's coming to speak on behalf of this request? Please, come on up. If you wouldn't mind just saying your name, your address, and then tell us why you believe a variance is warranted.
Okay, good evening, everyone. My name's John Gentili. Address is 1133 Latham Street in Birmingham. I'd like to address a couple of issues with the fire marshal's letter. First of all, the fire marshal specifies 18 inches is what the request is. That's incorrect. It's 36 inches. The fire marshal is also concerned about setting a precedent. I would suggest that my opinion would be this is more of an exception, right? Due to the conditions that I'll summarize here in a minute, these existing conditions alleviate the concerns. Now, both Andrew and the fire marshal came out to the property and reviewed it live. The elevation that you can see up there is a garage. It is an unoccupied space. I think it's questionable from the code whether it's habitable or non-habitable, but those 3 windows are fixed, completely fixed. They cannot work even if I wanted them to work. That's a brick wall, and there's another slide in the presentation that shows the exterior elevation. The existing soffit vent has been closed. When we re-roofed the house, the roofer said we would lose our shingling warranty if we left any side vents open, so those are all closed. There's a very limited 3-inch overhang. There's no venting in the overhangs. So it is virtually impossible on that elevation for any infiltration. And I recognize the problem. The fire marshal was very explicit when he described it to us when we were there, that there has been a number of infiltrations of CO. And I've even done some research and come up with 2 cases where, don't ask me how this happened, one was in Beverly Hills, maybe that's the answer, but the unit was installed right under a bedroom window. So the woman had her window open in the summer. Well, guess what? She got infiltration in. There's no way that there can be infiltration here. Let
me just interrupt you for
Sure.
a second. So you aren't here to dispel what the fire marshal is saying. You're here to say, this is why I believe I can't abide by the 5-foot requirement. This is what is unique about my property, my home, and why I deserve a variance. The other issues we can talk about, but we need to hear about what is it about your lot and the need for this generator that you can't abide by the ordinance. That's what we
Okay.
need to hear.
So I think the difficulties become here at the 5-foot distance, which is the a yellow taped outline there. It gets into the gate swing. There's also a platform that comes up. I mean, it's going to be difficult to move that gate swing. It also impedes into the path a bit. The bigger issue here too is the lot itself is a corner lot with very limited back and side yards. Very difficult to locate anything. If I went to the other side of the path, and it was up against that gate, again, I'd have problems with the gate swing. And I'm also running into all the mature trees that exist along the lot line. The tree roots and all of that, I mean, it ended up killing trees, which is one of the beautiful things about this city that we all love, are the trees. So I think it's a combination of those difficulties, along with the extenuating circumstances that, again, the fire marshal's concerned about infiltration. There isn't an infiltration concern here, I think, as you can see.
So not that this is a debate, but when we allow you to put a generator in and you decide to sell your house in 1 year or 7 years, and the people that buy it want to use your generator and decide to make your garage windows active, or they decide to put another window in, or they decide to put fresh air return because they put in a huge range, we aren't thinking about your particular situation. We're thinking about precedent, the ordinance, your ability to meet the ordinance, and the future potential owners of the home. So although I hear you saying, I'm not worried that I'll get carbon monoxide poisoning, we're looking at a bigger picture in terms of our...
And I understand that, but the process is, should anybody go ahead and do that, they come to the city for approval. You would catch that. Also, anybody can put an addition or open those windows up, but they would be in violation of the code. I mean, that's why you have the codes.
Right. Any other statements for us?
No, I think that's it.
Very good. Mr. Canvasser.
Yeah, why not move the path from the gate? Move the gate closer to the lot line, move the path up and around.
I'd have to move, you can see the concrete sidewalk. There's mature bushes that run along the sides all the way down. All that would have to be ripped up, pushed over. The fence would have to be moved over, and the path would have to be moved over. It's not really a doable situation.
Well, it's doable, it's just a matter of the cost, right?
Well, that's true, and we can fix any problem with cost, but just like when you guys are, well, when the city is faced with an issue with a parking deck, it can be fixed. But are you going to spend the money, or are you going to look at it a different way? At some point, cost has to be part of the equation.
Any other questions, Mr. Canvasser?
Nope, I'm good,
Any
thanks.
other questions? Please, let's go on.
So you're showing the spot number 2, the yellow here, as the proposed code location, and you're objecting to it because the gate swings in it. But why can't you move it further away from the gate and let the gate swing and be away from any obstacle? Why can't you just move it further back 10 inches, 12 inches?
So part of the problem with that is it also would intrude into what would be the aesthetics of the garden. When we originally hired the contractor, this was 18 inches, and it fit right in that corner perfectly. And by the way, I like just to make another statement about the 18 inches. If you go to the Generac website, 18 inches is what they still have.
Any other questions, Mr. Bonner?
No, thank you.
Any other questions for the appellant? Seeing none, thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen.
I know we have the fire marshal online. Anybody in the audience have a comment that is not affiliated with this appeal? Seeing none, can we please unmute the fire marshal?
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine. If you wouldn't mind stating your name and where you're zooming from, and then tell us your thoughts about this appeal.
Of course. My name's Birmingham. Currently zooming from my vehicle. I pulled over to the side of the road to join in with this. First and foremost, I would like to address the manufacturer's recommendation and statement. While yes, the gentleman is correct by saying it's 18 inches, there's also a line that's prefaced underneath that says, and or conditions of municipal code or code in your jurisdiction. So we do have the autonomy as a city to adopt an ordinance. And in this case, we did adopt an ordinance based on almost 3 years of documentation of carbon monoxide, like it was said earlier, dangerous levels, reaching even 100 parts per million and greater in homes where we have to actually have our firefighters wear air packs to even go into the home and begin investigating. So with that being said, I'd also like to add that no house is impervious to any type of cracks or crevices where CO can intrude into a dwelling or into an attached garage. While from the surface, from the face, it's a closed window. This is also an older home. There are cracks, there are crevices, there are ways that this carbon monoxide will get into the home. And a lot of it depends on weather, humidity, and such factors, wind direction, and things like that. So with that being said, I do believe that there's room where we proposed at the 5 feet. A suggestion would be to reverse the gate swing. Instead of swinging inward, could it perhaps swing outwards that would not hit the generator in the ordinance location? But as far as it's truly is just all based off of life safety. We have in the past approximate 3 months, we've actually had 3 generator relocations based on this ordinance and high levels of CO in the home. There was a former home that had 2 incidents at separate times with CO intruding into the house where there were fixed windows and no other type of cold air returns or anything else, that there was high levels of CO. That is one of the ones I spoke of just now, that it was about 110, 120 parts per million in the home. And obviously, thankfully, they had alarms and they woke up. Without the alarms, I would pretty much guarantee it would have been a fatality within our city.
Very good, sir. I think we hear you loud and clear. Your letter rings true, and not that, obviously, it's very relevant to us, but the first step in our process is there were practical difficulty here in meeting the ordinance. So that's our first line to review, and then, of course, the risks that you've presented and the discussion you've provided helps guide us. We appreciate your input.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. So seeing no other comments from the audience, I will close public comment. Gentlemen, do we have a motion? A motion and a discussion.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Reddy.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion with regards to 113 Latham Appeal 25-19. I would move to deny. I did not hear any practical difficulties or unnecessary hardships as laid out by the appellant, though I'm sympathetic to the need to have a generator frankly, having a generator does not, or not having a generator does not prohibit the appellant from using the property as designed, and that's as a home. He could live there, his family could live there with or without this generator. And in this case, I didn't hear enough underlying hardship that would, I think, allow for us to make a variance, particularly when we heard from the fire marshal that he has grave concerns with regards to placing this generator any closer than what the ordinance requires. And I just don't see the need to take any unnecessary risks as it comes to something. This isn't a deck that we're asking for some additional space. This is a generator that emits a toxic gas, and I think we have to, in this particular case, be cognizant of that, particularly as it relates to granting a variance. I don't think literal enforcement of this chapter would result in an unnecessary hardship because the home's still habitable. And in fact, the appellant has a place where he could put the generator, even though it's not perhaps the most desirable. He could put it in another space. The gate could swing the other way. I just didn't see anything in the presentation that would convince me that that couldn't be accommodated another way. So for the facts laid out, as we heard through public comment from the fire marshal and from what we heard from the appellant, I would move to deny.
We have a motion to deny and a very thorough motion. I appreciate that, and I see a second from Mr. Canvasser. Any discussion?
Sure, I'd like to just add as part of my second.
Please.
I'm going to support this motion. I don't think this is the type of variance we should be granting. We did not hear any special conditions applicable to the property. In fact, we heard that a variance is really not necessary except for cost, and cost, as we've said numerous times, is not a reason for a variance. Gate could be moved, gate could be swung a different way, path could be relocated, ordinance could be complied with. I think the granting of a variance would be contrary to the spirit and purpose of the zoning ordinance. We've heard public health, safety, and welfare concerns from the fire marshal. But above and beyond that, we heard life concerns from the fire marshal, which I think is even a stronger and higher standard than simply public health, safety, and welfare. And I think we also have concerns. There's a neighbor next door, so the further you put it towards the neighbor, if you were to go the other side of the pathway, then we have the neighbor's concern. But I don't think giving a variance would result in substantial justice to the property owner. I think it would do the opposite to the owner, to the neighbors, and to the general public. So I'll support the motion.
Very good. We have a motion. We have a second. Any other discussion? Please.
Just a comment, and I do have empathy with the appellant. I went through this 8 months ago with the city, and my experience was, well, first of all, I had to change out the gas meter, but the generator couldn't be located at the side of my house right next to my gas meter. It would have been a very simple connection. I had to put it in the quote-unquote backyard. The house I live in, the backyard is actually the front yard because the access to my house is off of the back alley. And there's also a garage and a driveway there. So there's just a small area in front of my front door that I could locate the generator, which I did. But that caused me to move brick pavers, had to be pulled out and then redone. Also landscaping, a large landscape boulder had to be moved. The line had to be lifted up on stanchions to get around the roots of a large tree and then dig a 2-foot deep trench to go underground underneath a path to come back up to the house. So yes, indeed, there is cost associated with this, but I believe since the requirements are a combination of city ordinance, manufacturer's requirements, and the fire department, you know, for us to deviate from this, I think, is a matter of certainly safety. And, you know, those requirements, again, are not strictly about our zoning ordinance, but a combination of again, those other factors. So for that reason, and again, I have empathy for the cost because I had to bear it. But I think that that we should turn this appeal down, and I would concur with the motion.
Very good. We have a motion to deny. Can we please call the roll?
Ron Ready,
Yes.
Jason Canvasser,
Yes.
Kevin Hart,
Yes.
Richard Lilly,
Yes.
John Miller,
Yes.
Eric Morgenroth,
Yes.
Carl Bona.
Yes.
I'm sorry, your variance is not approved.
Okay, thank you.
Good luck. Our next case this evening is for case number 2521 for Washington. And it looks like Andrew's presenting again.
I'm doing that one.
I'm sorry, Mr.
Hi.
Morad is
Hi.
presenting.
Mike Morad, Assistant Building Official for the city. Here to present appeal number 25-21. The owner of the property known as 1291 Washington requests the following variance to construct a deck in the side yard. Chapter 126, Article 2, Section 2.08 of the zoning ordinance allows a maximum of 30% lot coverage. The required is 30%, 2,496 square feet. The proposed is 31.83%, 2,648.75 square feet. Therefore, a variance of 1.83 or 152.75 square feet is requested. The applicant is seeking a variance to construct a proposed deck to the new home that is currently under construction, which has reached its maximum lot coverage. Okay, so you see here, here's the home and the outline of the home. The deck is right back here. The deck is actually slightly larger than what the variance is, but the portion of the deck behind the home does not require the variance. So the back line of the home is where the issue is. The deck is constructed in the building envelope area of the home, so that would count as lot coverage per the zoning ordinance. So they could build this deck behind, and it would not require a variance. And because it's in that little alcove there, and they are already at their maximum lot coverage, it counts for lot coverage. If it was built behind, it would not be counted as lot coverage. But because it's in forward of the absolute rear of the home, that portion of the deck is counted as lot coverage and not just open space.
So Mike, as we've had this for other, I guess, definitions of what rear yard and front yard is, because that plane of the back of the house is not at the furthest distance, we're calling that the side, whereas if you had a door wall there and you were coming out the back, you'd be believing you're entering the backyard, you just have an offset, right? And so
You mean
because
if it was over here?
No, I just mean if that offset wasn't there and the back of that room was aligned with the rear of the home, it would be the backyard. It's because there's an offset, so that lower offset is considered side.
That is correct. If that line of the home was right at the top of the hand, straight across, if that was the back of the home, there would be no need for a variance.
Right.
It would not count as lot coverage. It would count against open space, which they have for the room.
Very good. Any other questions for Mr. Morad?
Is any of this built?
The deck, no, the home is being built right now.
It's currently under construction?
Yes.
Thank you.
And Mike, from your standpoint, if this deck were to be built where it would not require a variance, could it be put in the area that is considered the rear yard without a variance?
The appellant should speak to that because of the nature of where the layout of the home is.
Yeah, but notwithstanding a house under construction that might have a door wall that's part of that, or an exit as part of that alcove, a deck could be put on the rear of the home without a variance, notwithstanding where the egress is.
That's correct.
Correct? Very good. Any other questions? Mr. Kona, and then Mr. Reddy.
Just to clarify, so if from the plans I've seen, the rear door is right where the 11.75 measurement is, and their walkout. If the whole deck was pulled in under the canopy of the overhead part of the second floor of this home, that would not be considered lot coverage?
But where the overhead, any spot of the overhead is already in the lot coverage aspect of the home. So that's why the home part, that part is not counted there.
Right, so the deck part, if the deck and the steps that are beyond the 18.54 line.
Right.
If those were pulled in to where the 18.54 line is.
That
under
would
the-
not change the variance request.
Okay, that's what I
Yes,
wanted to clarify.
Right.
Thank you.
17.0 line.
He was referring to this area versus this area.
Isn't it this line that comes across?
Well, any of this is considered back.
Yeah.
This is considered side.
Right.
Mr. Reddy?
I had the exact same question as Mr. Kona, and based on your answer, Mike, is there anything that they can do to get this to meet the ordinance? That would be my question. I see what he's trying to do. I think he's trying to use the deck to walk down to the patio with those stairs, but based on Mr. Kona's question, is there anything he can do at that point?
Anything they were to construct in that area would require the variance, because that would count as lot coverage.
So Mike, what if they took steps off the door wall at the 1175 dimension and then started the deck where they re-entered the deck if it was aligned with the next plane? So the deck started,
It would have to go back to this other one back here where it's, the other 3.17. It would have to go behind that. See, there's a double jog here.
oh, so even
Yes.
that 3.17, so
That's
anything in
correct.
front of the 1854 dimension
That's why
is still side?
That's correct. That's why their deck, the portion of the deck is the 13 feet deep back is the variance request.
So you're
because of
basically
that.
saying to people, when you build a house in Birmingham, build a box in the back so that we don't measure from one offset or another?
That's how,
Sorry, Jeff.
that's the reality of it. That a deck is typically not lot coverage, but because it's in the envelope of the home, it counts there as the lot coverage.
So out of curiosity, if I had an overhang at the offset that came out 3.17, would that then even it out, or it has to be foundation?
You mean like a roof overhang? Well, the maximum overhang you could have is, on the home, would be 2 feet without it counting as lot coverage. So yeah, if you had a 2-foot overhang, that would not have entered into the lot coverage calculation. If there was a larger overhang, the overage of the 2 feet would be in the lot coverage of the home to begin with.
Very good. But if he had steps down from the area that he wants to build the deck, and then he pushed the deck out approximately 12 feet from there, he wouldn't need a variance.
Correct. If the deck were moved straight back, that would be correct.
Very good.
One
Mr.
final
Reddy?
question, Mr. Chair. Do materials matter?
No, not necessarily. No, it's a patio
Pavers,
constructed,
wood,
it's a
doesn't-
structure
okay,
in the.
Fair enough, thank you.
Well, if it's even with the grade, it's still lot coverage. If it was something flat on grade, is it still lot coverage?
No, it'd be open space.
We are
Like a
counting that,
driveway.
yes, if it's on built, on grade, if it's like a slab on grade, like a driveway type material, concrete.
So my
on
idea of
grade.
steps down, 12-foot paver patio on grade, and then a deck would not need a variance.
Correct. As long as the paver or, a concrete slab was
Flat on
in
grade.
that area of that, to the back of the home, the 13 feet they'd be required, yes.
Very good. Any other questions for the city? Seeing none, who is speaking on behalf of this appeal? We tried to do all the work for you.
That's okay.
If you would mind, name, address, and then tell us why you believe a variance is warranted.
So Matt Whetstone with Greater Detroit Landscape Company. Office or home address is 21,000 Fairfield, Warren, Michigan. So I have one quick question, just to.
You can ask me, and then they'll answer if I can't.
Okay, that's fine. So it goes to where you guys were having some discussion at the end of coming down with steps, patio in that area. To clarify, even if our patio was at grade, that would still require a variance?
Because of the drop in the grade.
No, because of it being in that section of the yard, because we're not beyond the back of the home.
I think they're saying if it's flat on grade, it isn't considered lot coverage as long as the raised deck is beyond the back of the house, meaning that final plane.
Yeah, no, but when you were going through some, like the last thing you guys talked about was.
If you had steps down to a patio, like a steps down to a patio,
Yeah, even if we stepped down onto that patio,
then you don't need a variance.
and this is not even for this, it's more of another thing too, that's still side yard considered, that area, so we can't have a patio.
But it's not a
side
structure.
yard.
It's not a structure, so it's not considered lot coverage. And then you might say, well, what if I do a patio, but the land is dropping 2 feet? I want a variance because the drop in grade is not our fault. That could be a different variance.
And we're gonna ask, that's one of our things too that we talked about, so, okay, well, we could talk about
I
that.
think, can I add one thing? To clarify the side yard, it's still behind the house. It's not in the required side yard. So even though there's a recess, but being not behind the house, a deck would count for lot coverage that's within that back area. So it's not technically in the side yard. It's kind of like looking like in the side yard. So it's
Right.
kind of maybe not worded correctly. I think maybe that might be answering your question.
It's in the
So-
building envelope, not the required side yard. The required side yard would be, from the side setback into the setback.
Right.
This is not in that setback, but it is not in the rear open space, which is where the deck can be.
Right, we're not saying side yard setback, we're just finding it
Correct.
as side yard.
Correct.
Yes,
Right.
correct.
So-
Okay.
So, Donald and Jean Coons, are building a retirement home that they can look to grow old in. So with that, with the builder, who's in the audience, they took a lot of efforts. They did a few things. They built a first floor master, thinking of aging in this home, curbless showers, 36-inch doors on the first floor. We don't encroach into the side yard, that 6.8 side yard setback. There's also some grade issues, the way that yard slopes to the side is one of the reasons why we were thinking of doing a deck in this area as opposed to an on-grade patio, because that's going to bring our grades up and not allow us to pitch back to our catch basin in our yard quite as easy or as comfortably with the yard. Few things, we do meet our overall open space with this deck, even in its location, we're still under those requirements. One of the challenges we had with this is that is the only exit into the backyard on this home. If this came off farther back, we wouldn't even be here today. It's just on account of the location. Our thought with the deck is it's least, we're changing minimal grades because we can let the grade roll underneath it the way it normally would for drainage on the site plan, so there's no modifications, as if we did a flat patio. Also, they're looking for future safety as they grow old in this home, because it is a retirement home, of just having multiple steps. They did a lot of efforts on keeping the home as low as possible to grade, minimizing steps in. Even some of the framework was done to keep the first floor, at a little bit lower level than normal. So there was a lot of pains they took thinking of, the next, 10, 15 years of aging in this home. What we're looking to give them is, and what they're looking for, is to have one step out where they're not coming down 3 or 4 steps onto grade as they grow, just for a safety factor of going up and down steps, to have an area where they can enjoy their backyard, as they grow old in the home. So I think most of that, we've done it, it's screened from all the neighbors, and
Just
Very good. Any other comments?
I think that's pretty much it. I'm happy to
So
answer any
I don't
questions.
see a floor plan so that I could look and see about, as a builder, I know that switching out windows for a door wall or a door wall for windows is not the worst thing in the world. So choosing a different egress point because you have an issue here obviously is one option. I assume you have steps from the garage floor into the home, or did you do a reverse brick, or did the builder do a reverse brick ledge there?
Yes, I haven't been into the garage, if he could answer.
Please, you can just answer the question, yeah.
There's a curb and one step into the house,
So step up onto a curb, step into the house.
18 inches from the flat of the car parks
Right.
in the house.
And obviously, if you get onto this deck, there's some point where you have to come down off the deck, right? Because it's a
You do,
raised
but
deck.
what we're trying to give them is an area where, as they grow, they can at least access the backyard, sit outside without having to go down multiple steps, so.
Right. So, when we look at practical difficulty and lot parameters and all these things, and, clearly the builder, obviously didn't come up when the plans were presented, and the only egress on the back of the house was in an area that was considered side yard, not rear yard. So, the city can do a better job maybe at pointing that out when they see where these door walls are, and maybe if they know the grades. But it sounds like possibly the door wall can be moved so that the egress location is an area where you can put the deck. Sounds like you could have a couple steps off of this area, not ideal, but maybe no worse than the garage. You could do 2 landings instead of 2 steps, come down to a patio, and then have the ability to use this area for the intended purpose. So I'm trying to wrap my head around, with those 2 potential options,
Yeah.
what is the practical difficulty?
So what they're looking at is you're still gonna have multiple steps if we do come with landings out of this house. You're still gonna, have, going up and down multiple steps as opposed to just a 6-inch step down, like stepping up or down here. And again, they did most of this inside the home to try to minimize where there was no more than 1 step as they grow old in this home. Curbless showers, the wider doors. So there was a lot of thought in their planning process with the architect, the decorator and even the builder, to try to keep it, the back of the home, just on account of the way the grades are, obviously is higher than where the front of the home was, so there's no way around escaping that. So by creating this raised deck patio, we're just trying to create that option where they can access the backyard without multiple stairs. And again, if the way certain cities, this would still be considered a backyard. Birmingham, it's not, because anybody that walked up there, I think, would agree that it is in a backyard. The way it's written in Birmingham, it's considered a side because it's not the.
No, I get it,
rear
and I get your
portion
point. The
of
challenge is
homes,
that if there are other places to leave and you have, like if you were at the back of the lot line or back of the building envelope and you said there is no space for a deck on the back of the house, the defined back, and so this indentation is the only place a deck will go, then that eliminates another possibility. But knowing that there is space on the back of the home where you can put a deck and the only issue is where the egress is, it's a challenge to say that there are not solutions that a variance doesn't need to be provided to solve. And that's kind of what we're here to look at. But let me see if there's other questions from board members. Mr. Miller?
Yeah, this is all new construction, and you went ahead with this plan. Did you not realize that this was a problem, or you just wanted to design it this way, assuming you would get a variance?
No, during this design process, we actually had started with a raised patio. I came in, talked with Jeff. That's when this whole side yard concern and everything came in. We went over a few different options. Jeff thought this was the, best solution to bring to you to try to solve our concern that the homeowners have with eliminating steps, with the least amount of changing to the existing grades, least amount of impact to the side degrading of the 6.8 side yard feet, to keep the elevations close to where they are, and the water draining to our, keeping it on our yard into the back catch basin was the least intrusive, and what we felt was, the best solution to try to accomplish the owner's wants and needs.
Okay, so in the design of the house,
We were brought in after the door wall. The house was already framed. If
All
that's your
right.
question, we were
Yeah.
brought in after the windows.
because obviously when you design it, you have a
Yeah.
clean sheet of paper and.
Yeah, no, the doors, window, that was all made prior to
Okay.
us getting involved.
Did you consider possibly raising the grade back there?
Raising the grade back there, we would have to put a retaining wall. I did
Yeah.
talk with Jeff about this. That would still lead us to similar issues with being in a side yard and what we're allowed to do with that area. So we did talk about trying to raise that grade, so we'd be at grade level, with the retaining wall coming off that side, but it put us back into the same
And
issues.
that
It
wasn't,
being-
that's not possible?
Because it's a side yard, we weren't allowed to do it.
That'd still be structure. If you raise the grade, that wall would be
Yeah,
structure.
that becomes a structure, so.
Oh, the retaining
The
wall would be
retaining wall becomes a
considered.
So that's why we thought this, we did look at that option first, so.
Okay, thank you.
Please, Mr. Hart.
Thank you. Did you consider, I know we talked about minimizing the staircases, but the stairs that are at the far end of this raised deck, if we were to swap, I'm guessing those are, it shows 3 lines with the grade at 767.13.
At the far end of the red square?
Yes, yeah, on the left
So
side.
that's to get them into the grade at the backyard.
Yes. My question was, if we got this deck that you proposed, leaving it where it was, but putting the stairs on the house side of the deck instead of the patio side. Now, what you could do to make those more agreeable is those could be wider. I don't know, your window wells going to the basement, you got 3 of them. Do you need those in all 3 locations? Wonder if there's some way to swap the window wells out. I don't know what you're planning for the basement, but that might give you more lot coverage that you could swap out. I'm just trying to think of other options. The key, I think the one thing you might consider is wider steps going down to grade, and then this thing would be in compliance. Would that be the?
So one of their concerns, the homeowner's concerns, is the amount of steps. They're trying to minimize
Right.
the amount of steps. If it's deeper, it's still the up and down motion that they're trying to eliminate. If we came right out of the house, say with a 36-inch landing and 2 steps to get us down to grade, that patio, or, because at that point, we'd probably keep it all exposed to aggregate. We went to a deck because, again, we can build it on posts, we're changing the grades very little. That portion that's still in that side yard would still be an issue, I believe, because it's in the side yard, not the rear.
Do landings count? Is that?
Would still count as lot
Jeff, would
coverage, I do
land-
believe.
Do landings count as part of the coverage?
No, not the landings, but the actual flat patio portion would still.
No, they've already
be
discussed that
side
that would not be lot coverage.
Landing, you gotta, I mean, by building code, you gotta be able to get out.
Right,
in
and it
an
has to be a
ordinance.
minimum of 36,
It's in the
right?
back, you can get out, you gotta have the landing, get the steps down. There'd be a little bit of lot coverage, because this is already maxed out at that point. But by code, you gotta get out, you can do a landing, get the steps down, and with it being in the rear yard, if it was in the side yard, you only get the 3 inches per foot for the, so it usually gets limited to 3 foot on the side. This is really still kind of in the back, in the building envelope, so it would be a little bit of lot coverage to get down.
Well, now,
then-
but if the deck shifts outward, it's going to be in compliance because it'll be past the back of the house. You see what I'm saying? Those 3 steps that are at the going down to the fire table level of the terrace, the lower terrace, that by putting the stairs on the house side, shifting that deck down, the last portion of the deck that's beyond the red square is now in compliance anyway, and it doesn't count as part of your.
If it's a
Lot coverage.
deck, it's still a structure, so that's where it's kind of.
No, it's not. I mean, it would, at that point, it'd be down past, the deck would be at grade. So it would be.
Mr. Hart, we're not trying to solve this. I think you're just
I
presenting
just
that
think
there
there's a
appears to be
better-
some options.
Okay,
Right, right, right.
that's, there you go.
Any other questions for the appellant? Seeing none? Mr. Reddy, you didn't have anything, did you?
No, I did not.
Very good. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
In the audience, anyone not particularly affiliated with this appeal that would like to comment on this appeal? And anybody see anyone online that might have an interest in speaking? Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Board members. Mr. Conisar, thank you for stepping up.
In regards to Appeal 2521, 1291 Washington, I will make a motion to deny the variance. It appears there are options, both in the construction of the rear of the house and the construction of the exit. It's more of a preference that we understand is the hardship, and on those, for those reasons, I don't believe there is a practical difficulty to need this variance, and literal enforcement of this does not really present, I believe, a hardship. The granting of the variance is not contrary to the spirit of the zoning ordinance, and I believe this will be provide substantial justice to the property owners in the area following this ordinance. And for that reason, I move to deny this.
We have a motion to deny. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Mr. Reddy, I think I saw first. We have a second. Any discussion? Mr. Miller?
Yeah, this was a tough one for me, but I will support the motion. It seems the original problem here was just in the design of the house, which was designed contrary to our zoning requirements. And, you know, that caused this situation, even though, you know, you can understand what the appellant and what the owner is trying to do, which is not a generally unreasonable thing. But again, it was, the owner designed themselves into a really contrary situation, and it's not debilitating in terms of the use of the site or the size of the house or anything, but it's just a situation that I don't believe that we can support in terms of this appeal.
Mr. Canvaser, do you have a comment?
No, it's just pointing to.
Okay. I'll support the motion. I do believe that there are potential solutions that don't require a variance. I think if during the design phase, the engineer or the architect had discovered this was considered side yard, not side yard setback, the house could have been made smaller to allow for lot coverage. There are other things that could have been done possibly to lower the grade. I just think there were other solutions, and I think that with the possibility of a patio, the possibility of a landing in a patio that's flush with grade, with the possibility of moving the egress, there are solutions. And with solutions, we can't provide a variance because it would create a precedent that, we have to solve issues that are solvable by the appellants. So for that reason, I will support. We have a motion to deny. Can we call the roll, please?
Carl Kona,
Yes.
Ron Ready,
Yes.
Jason Canvaser,
Yes.
Kevin Hart,
Yes.
Richard Lilly,
Yes.
John Miller,
Yes.
Eric Morgenthau.
Yes. Sorry, your variance is not approved. Good luck. Our last and final case for the evening is case 2522 on 640 Shirley.
Andrew Erickson here to present appeal number 2522. The owner of the property known as 640 Shirley requests the following variance to construct a pool house. Chapter 126, Article 4, Section 4.03B of the zoning ordinance requires that an accessory building not be permitted closer to a principal building on an adjoining lot than the sum of the minimum required side setbacks is determined in Section 4.74C. The required is 31.50 feet. The proposed is 21.60 feet. Therefore, a variance of 9.90 feet is requested. Any questions?
So I see we have what we're calling a pool house. It really is a bathroom cabana, right? And I'd like you, if you wouldn't mind, to the extent you're comfortable, how many spots on this property do you think this particular structure that's not very big could be built without a variance? I mean, it's a big property. There are other parts of the house. It really isn't. Obviously, it's got a proximity to the pool, but there are many spaces on this property where this structure can be built now.
The other side of the pool?
Other side of the pool could be built with no variance. What about up near the garage? It could probably be built and still be attached to the house for plumbing benefit.
Yeah, I think if they moved it back, there was an issue with DTE.
Okay.
To move it back, I think that.
Overhead lines or something?
Yeah, right.
Okay. At the end of the lot line wouldn't let it be at the end of the pool.
Correct.
Is the pool built yet?
The pool is under construction.
Okay. But there is more than one spot beyond this one.
I believe so.
Very good. Any other questions for the city?
Yeah.
Please.
If the DTE lines weren't there, would they need a variance?
I believe they would be able to move it towards the back of the lot, and it would, if the lines weren't there, it would work.
But the DTE Energy lines are not impacting its current location, so that would need a variance because of its proximity to the adjacent structure. The current location has nothing to do with the DTE lines. Putting it somewhere else has an impact on the DTE lines. So you would still need a variance if the lines weren't there to put it where it currently is.
Correct.
Yeah, that's the answer. Mr. Reddy?
Quick question, what exactly is the proposed function of the cabana?
I would let the.
The bathroom in it.
I'll let them explain it. Thank you.
Changing.
Yeah, I think if you scroll down, it's like a changing and
Is that,
bathroom.
okay, I didn't see that. Thank you,
Yeah,
Mr. Chair.
storage on the one side.
Any other questions for the city? Seeing none, who's coming to speak on behalf of this appeal?
Hello, Chairperson and board members. I'm Sabrina Brown with Mosier Design Landscape Architecture, and I'm here on behalf of the homeowners, Teresa and Joseph Carter at 640 Shirley. So
Can you give us your address? I'm sorry if you didn't already.
our office address is 2725 Nakota in Royal Oak.
Perfect, thank you.
So as you know, obviously here to request variance with regards to having the basically bathroom, storage room, pool house close to the adjacent structure. As you know, the typical setback for any rear yard structure is 3 feet off the property line. With our specific lot shape, we have a little bit of a unique situation where we get into kind of the unique ordinance that we don't personally come by very often, where it is 25% of the front lot width. So we have considered, kind of from your guys' conversation, we have considered possible alternative locations. As Andrew mentioned, moving it further west, we do kind of become code compliant with the city, but then not code compliant with DTE. And that is also the same situation at the back of the pool. If we were to put it there, we are also close to the overhead wires that run along the back of the property. The other alternative location, which was south of the pool, that could be an option, but it does run into issues of running all the mechanical wires that are all on the north side of the house. And then it kind of gets closer to a lot of the visible structures of the neighbor. Right now, where we have it, it will be completely screened. We also have DTE approval of it. We have the north and south neighbors' written approval, as you have in your letters in your packet. And another significant challenge that we have is the existing trees. So moving it further west, not only we can't do with regards to DTE, but also there are 3 big trees on the neighbor's property that we would be essentially digging into the roots if we were moving it closer there. And anywhere along the west or the north side does affect our drainage on being able to get a swale anywhere behind that structure without water going onto the neighbor's property, which we don't want to do. We have kind of a really nice drainage layout design that's capturing all of the water within that backyard onto this property so that none of the neighbors are being hindered. And then, trying to see, so from a functional standpoint, obviously the main reason for this structure is, one, to house pool equipment. We did adjust sizing, so we've made it about as small as we can possibly go for storing outdoor pool equipment, pool materials, and then for the actual bathroom changing room, with where the locations of the bathroom is inside the house, it could become safety issues and inconvenience with kind of wet children and adults having to walk through the whole house to be able to go to the bathroom versus having it right here in the location proposed. And also everything tying in mechanical wise is all on that side of the house. So no long runs, ample positive sewer drainage going down. We're not running into any issues. So obviously I understand your decisions rest on if we have any cases of standards of practical difficulty. So the first reason is this is not self-created. The home was built long before the clients purchased this with no provisions for modern pool amenities. We cannot control DTE restrictions, the neighbor's tree drift lines, and the drainage patterns that we need to uphold with regards to the city. We have, however, exercised control in proposing a modest, reasonable design that is consistent with the scale and style of similar structures throughout the whole neighborhood. There's no negative impact. It will be screened from public and from neighbor view with evergreen trees, so all year-round coverage. And then, as mentioned, both neighbors, kind of north and south, have shown their support. Kind of overall neighborhood harmony. There are many of these structures throughout the neighborhood and throughout the city that are similar or even larger, and some of them are often closer to the property line due to that kind of 3-foot setback. I believe we're about 7 to 8 feet off of the property line as it currently sits right now. And then obviously we have a unique property condition with regards to the specific lot, with how it tapers and the front width being longer than the back. That obviously increases the length that we have to be from neighboring primary structures. If we did have just kind of a standard rectangle lot that went straight, that that obviously percentage linear footage would be different with where we have to be against, from the primary structure of the neighboring property. But other than that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
So I see you have about 7 feet for pool function, and you have about 7 feet for the bathroom. They're definitely modest sizes. Is it required by code to enclose the pool equipment?
Sorry, equipment is not going in there. It is like, sorry, I meant like pool supplies.
Oh, like
Toys,
stuff, not like the pumps
cushions.
and the heaters?
No,
Oh,
those
okay.
are all going on the north side of the house.
Right. So this structure is a want, not necessarily a need, and it doesn't meet the ordinance, so it's hard to see a difficulty because it's a, I don't want to say it's an arbitrary thing, it's a beautiful thing, if it works. And of course, it does work on other parts of the property. Go back to your comment about the angle and length of the property line as it relates to the adjacent home.
So the ordinance, when it gets close to the neighboring primary structure, our distance that decides that, so that 31.5 feet is 25% of the front lot width. So on a standard lot, when we are not that close into the neighbor, it would be 3 feet off the property line, which we are well within. And the only reason we need a variance is because that front lot width, 25% of that is 31.5, and we are closer than that to that the rear covered porch of the neighboring house.
Right, and from the city standpoint, the neighboring house is conforming, it's not a non-conforming location, correct?
Correct, as far as I know.
So it's not a non-conforming location, they're where they're supposed to be. And even if it were a straight line, depending if the straight line starts at the corner and it gives you more backyard, or if the straight line starts at the back corner, you would have no room. So it just depends where that rectangle starts, right? Mm-hmm. Right, very good.
But it is more so kind of what I meant is it's a unique situation, not
Right, the lot
common.
shape is unique, right? Other questions for the appellant? Mr. Miller?
Yeah, I appreciate certainly the unusual shape of the lot and the fact that instead of it being larger in front is really what's causing your hardship because of the way it's calculated. But I guess what I'm looking at is, you're locating this on the if you will, north side of the pool. Can you talk again, what would prohibit you from being on the south side? I understand on the north side that location is, other than this quirk of the larger front yard, that location is reasonable. But why wouldn't it be reasonable if it was on the south side,
So,
where there seems to be a lot of room when you just look at the plan?
yeah, obviously it is kind of their main lawn space now that we've worked on this beautiful design that comes off of the main egress out of the house. Obviously, it's their main lawn space that is directly in front of their garage doors. So while that location is possible, it would require extensive additional mechanical work to connect to the house. As I mentioned, it is all the way on the north side. So it causes obviously an increase of cost, but then a necessary disruption to that kind of side yard. And then we would also possibly be looking into an insufficient sewer pitch from that location all the way to the sewer line that is located on the north side of the house.
Oh, so all the utilities from the house are on that north
All the utilities
side?
are on that north side. So that was our initial thought on putting it on that location. And so we made sure we worked extensively back and forth. In our design, we had it originally closer to the house, but then we were getting into the kind of what the last appeal was into the side yard. So we've actually moved it so it is fully in the rear yard. And we were under the impression, obviously, that 3 feet from the property line, that is what we've always done on so many of our projects, and how we've kind of avoided having to come to zoning boards because we've been within the ordinance. But with this kind of unique ordinance that we're now coming across, it's kind of putting us where we're just like, okay, how do we what are our options, which is obviously, as we talked about, what we've looked at in the 4 locations.
Was this pool structure a secondary thought with the pool? Because you would think they would have been designed together and permitted together.
Well, as I mentioned, we had it originally closer to the house, and then so over the designs, this was the spot that we found that, one, functionally made sense with where it was in relation to the overall living spaces for all of this. As you can see, majority of the pool patio space is on that north side. So this was kind of, we actually pushed it further west, as I mentioned, to get into the rear yard, so we weren't having to come to the ZBA for a side yard request variance. And then once we found out about this ordinance, then that's when we started looking at different issues, and when we saw that we couldn't make any of them work, we're now in front of you.
Very good. Any other questions? Mr. Reddy?
One final question from me. Can you explain to me what your understanding of the DTE setback easement requirements are? Because it seems to me you could actually, okay, but what's their requirements as you understand them? And I guess I don't understand why you couldn't put it in a place where you have the red square at and move it a little closer to the pool, depending on what those setback requirements are.
I just
from
want to look at the
overhead
red
lines.
square, sorry. I don't know if Andrew can pull that up. So we had sent this to our DTE planner, and we had conversations with them, because obviously, so with a pool, as an example, so a pool from any overhead wire has to be maximum 10 feet away. So we went back to them saying, hey, for this type of accessory structure, where can we be at? Because obviously we got a letter of clearance from them for the current location that it's in right now. And then when we sent that over to them, I believe we're at, I think it's 2.5 feet. If I'm, sorry, I'm just trying to see my drawings. But basically, they want to be at least 5 feet from those overhead wires.
So was there any reason why you couldn't put it where you have it indicated that, there's another location you haven't indicated here, and on my plan, it's a red square. Is there any reason why you couldn't move it? Put it there, I understand it's not ideal, but again, it is what it is, and move it a little bit closer
The one in
to
the red
pool?
square, you're saying move it towards the pool.
Move it towards the pool. to
It's
give it more room.
centered on the pool, yeah.
It wouldn't,
Maybe you can look at his screen. He's got a,
Yeah, I got it right here on
We've
my
got a red
screen.
rectangle on
Sorry.
our screen that shows.
so it's off-centered from the pool currently.
Right, and
Yeah.
what my thought was, okay, if you got to get it 5 feet, you move it to,
It's on the big screen now.
okay, he's got it on the big screen now, but then, I know, I grant it, I get it's not ideal, but I mean, if you move it 2.5 feet where you have the red square, it is closer to the pool, you don't need a variance.
Yeah, oh, so we're getting into, you can see the neighbor's existing trees. Sorry, that is one of the other reasons not going here with regards to DTE as well as moving it west, is we're now getting into the root structure of those existing trees on the neighbor's property.
Okay, thank you.
And we were planning on keeping, obviously, the one tree right there, that's right behind where that red block, the red block is, the 12-inch diameter one.
Any other questions? Mr. Kona?
Yeah, right along the lines of Mr. Reddy, I think the comment is to move away from the neighbor's trees, closer to the pool, get your 7 feet, and there's no requirement for a variance.
Moving 7 feet would put it right, it
No,
would
move it-
remove all of the pool deck. Right
How many feet are you at the non-DTE compliant location? Is that, say, 5.5 feet?
So we're at, currently at where we're located right now is 7.5 feet. Right now, in the non-DTE compliant one, it is 3.5.
So you have to move it 3.5 feet closer to the pool.
Would remove any usable patio space in that area.
You've got 10, 15 feet of space, and you're moving it 3 feet in just in the 16-foot frontage of that cabana? And if you moved it,
Is there a question?
yeah, well, why is it you can't move it 3.5 more feet? You're going further away from the neighbor's tree, and you wouldn't need a variance. And you'd still have 12, 15 feet of frontage.
That pool patio is about 10 feet. That would put it about 7 feet. A standard Chase lounge chair is about 6 feet, so there'd be no walking space in front of that cabana if you had furniture in front of there.
Okay, and so right now, you're saying the hole for the pool is dug, which is immaterial, I guess, at this point, but the rest of all the pavers and all this extra space is not committed, correct?
Currently, it's not installed. It is planned to be installed
Okay.
from the pool permit site plan.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for the appellant? Seeing none, thank you. Online or in the audience, anyone not affiliated with this appeal would like to speak on behalf of this appeal? Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Gentlemen. Mr. Miller, sir, please.
Yeah, this is another tough one here this evening, but in this case, I would move to approve 640 Shirley. I believe that the location, given the DTE lines and the underground lines, is very reasonable and would be in compliance, except for the fact that this sort of pie-shaped lot opens up toward the front. And that's what's caused the deviation from the required setback from the adjacent house. So I think it's a very, unique condition, and again, it relates to the, not just the DTE lines, but mostly to the shape of this lot. And for those reasons, I think that the special conditions applicable to this property in question, that literal enforcement is causing a little bit of an unnecessary hardship. I don't think what they're doing is contrary to the spirit, public health or safety or welfare. And granting the variance, I think, would do substantial justice to the owners and the adjacent properties. It's not a Home Depot metal shed. It's a substantial piece of architecture, really, with nice materials. And again, if it wasn't for the shape of the lot, it could be much closer to the property line. For those reasons, I would move to approve.
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second? Mr. Reddy, we have a motion to approve and a second. Any discussion?
No, I think it was Mr. Lilly.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Lee. I'm looking at you and I'm saying his name. Mr. Lee, second. Very good. Any discussion? Seeing none, we have a motion to approve. Can we call the roll?
John Miller,
Yes.
Richard Lilly,
Yes.
Eric Morganroth,
Yes.
Ron Reddy,
Yes.
Carl Kona,
Yes.
Jason Canvaser,
No.
Kevin Hart.
Yes.
Congratulations, you have your variance.
Thanks, guys. Have a great night.
Yep. Enjoy. Mr. Zilke, do we have any other business?
We did.
And in the audience, seeing none, or online, seeing none, anybody have a discussion unrelated to these appeals? Seeing nobody in our audience, we'll close public comment. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
We have a second. All in favor? Aye. We are adjourned.